Kane, it's 1-0. We're fucking down. 13th in the championship. The takeover happened as I said it would. People will be. Oh, when have we got Leeds? Now then, people, welcome back to the Just Joe football show and another edition of the Scouting Report. This one a little bit, well, different, yeah. It's a deep dive into potential loan signings that Leeds United could look at from the elite clubs, which are in the Premier League. Okay, the lads in a little group chat mentioned something yesterday, and I was like, right, that's our next video. And they've spent, 24 hours, 48, whatever it is, just looking at specific players. So before I do want to introduce them, I just want to say, I'm really, really grateful for their contributions during this series, the Scouting Report, because they have a much greater extensive knowledge about players on the continent in England than myself, okay, than the majority of us, all right? So I just want to, before I bring them on, and didn't want to embarrass them in person, you know what I mean, not knowing where to look, I just want to extend my gratitude to them both for agreeing to come on the channel on a regular basis and putting in some great work as well in terms of bringing us forward players that some of us hadn't even heard of, and so it takes a lot of work. Just extend my gratitude to them for doing that. Because as we say, the season now, what is it? Is it Saturday or Sunday? My days are all over. It's Saturday, isn't it? So this time next week, we'll be all going, oh my God, we're playing tomorrow. You know, you see, it's getting so close now. It's getting giddy. I'm getting giddy. I hope you are too. It's going to be a very, very busy week on the channel, but it's what we're here for. So please do smash a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel, get your comments in, and of course hit that notification bell so you don't miss a beat. Because as I say, there's going to be a lot of content over this next season, and I want you all to be along for the ride. So without further ado, that's enough from me now. I've chatted enough beans, if you like, and let's welcome in the absolute wealth of knowledge that is Andrea Russo and, of course, Ben Lockie Leeds. How you doing, both? Are you all right?
Great, and I want to say we should thank you and express our gratitude for having us on the show on a regular basis, like you said. And it's been a great time, and we're having fun. And thanks to you, Joe, for these chats, and thanks you to the ones listening to.
Yeah, man. You're looking so young. You're looking so young tonight, Andrea. Yeah, man. It's genuinely knocked years off you. You look so young, man. I like your T-shirt as well.
Yeah,
your T-shirt's really cool. Yeah, it's really cool. What a nice T-shirt. Have you?
Oh, there you go.
Oh no, I thought you had my Jordan T-shirt on the door. I had my Jordan one on yesterday. Damn, man. Wounded about that. Before we get into it as well, folks, what's happened is Lockie, Andrea, they've both gone away. They've got 5 players that could be potential loans for Leeds United to ask the Premier League clubs if we could take them. And there'll be reasons why they've picked these certain ones. We'll let them go through them, as is always the case. Just want to remind you as well, folks, before I do go any further, because this finishes tomorrow, the opportunity to win the Willie Gnonto signed Leeds United shirt ends tomorrow at 2 p.m. On the watch along of the Hearts game, our last pre-season game. I'll be able to share the screen, press the button, and it'll do the draw for me, so you know that there's been no madness going down. All you need to do is a pinned tweet on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter, follow Football Prizes, and also subscribe to the Just Joe Football Show. Don't worry if you don't have Twitter, that's fine. It just means you'll have one less entry. Okay, you get one entry per task you do. Okay, I've not opened that one. That's still in the box, all locked in. All right. So, like I say, make sure you check that out, folks. Yeah. Right. Okay. Without further ado, let's get straight into it then. So we've had a look at left backs, goalkeepers, defenders, attackers, midfielders. This, I guess, is just anywhere really, because we haven't looked at specific positions on loan. But let's start with, I think it was Lockie we agreed to go to first of all. Lockie, what was your rationale in terms of coming up with the specific players?
So obviously, we hear the names Cameron Archer, Oscar Bob, but I've done a bit of research and they're not really realistic. It seems they're staying with their club. So I've gone for players who have been on tour or are on tour currently with the Premier League sides, which was mentioned in, I think it was either Phil or Graham's article, but we are
Graham's, yeah,
in for them to come back. So that made me think there's some loan players in there that potentially we might look at once they've come back. So that was one thing. Realism, it's got to be realistic. And basically positions that we need strengthening for the main parts of mine are central players. I have wingers, but they're not included because we have a wealth of them at the moment. So that was kind of the criteria.
So what positions have you specifically dialed down onto then? So the ones that we need.
I've gone kind of that 8/10 role. A real creative type player, progressive type player, because we are missing that. I've also got a centre back in there who's been raved about a lot this preseason, and more of a box to box midfielder, but mainly central. Yeah,
love that. And is that the same for you, Andrea? Have you gone for different positions, different profiles? What's the thought process?
Well, the thought about behind it is almost similar to the ones of Loki. Looking at specific positions that we need to strengthen. Especially, I have looked at certain players in a more certain position, but we can also play as number 10s. And number 10s, we can also play more deep, like box-to-box players, dropping down on the pitch to get the ball and restart the action. Like Loki, I didn't include wingers because we're stacked. We are full of options like in that department right now. And I have a center back too because, like I said yesterday on the final word, for me, we need an experienced one, but we can also look to bring another one on loan because we lost Llorente, Koch, and probably Wober too.
Yeah, for sure. Great. So everyone knows the rules now in the chat. Yeah, Lockie, I don't know, blow our minds. Show us come on, bring your first one.
First one is a Brighton player called Stephen Elzati, who I saw someone mention in the chat, so they'll be happy.
Yeah, I seen that as well. This guy here. Big shout out to Richard Armitage, who called it. Well done, Richard.
Knows, Stephen Elzati is the first one. He's currently he's gone back for Brighton. He was on loan last year at Standard Liège for half a season. A player who is with Brighton currently on their pre-season, and I've looked on. He's actually doing quite well. So that's always good for a side looking for loans. The fight with all these players is whether they'll stay at their own clubs, right? That's why they're on this tour. That's why they're trying to impress. But if not, I just think there's a way in which you can get these players. And the thing about Stephen Elzati is, and his key attributes for me, is his flair. He's extremely skillful. And in terms of feet and how quick he is with his feet, it is Buendia-like in terms of skill type player. Different type of player, but in terms of his feet. He's an 8/10, I think. He has played CDM as well, but I just think in this system, I'm thinking of a midfield with Ampadu and him in it. You have Ampadu's steal, and game controlling. You have this guy running around just causing havoc for anyone. For me, it'd be an excellent loan signing. The reason it's on loan as well is because he's not in the Brighton squad. Last year he got sent on loan halfway through, having played one game. So he's clearly out of the thinking there. Whether he's rejuvenated that with a decent loan, from what I've found online, he did really well at Standard Liège from central midfield. 7 goal involvements in 24 games. He's really good from central midfield. But like Ampadu, a player that probably could play Premier League, but we took a hint on, and now look at him. So in terms of, I said yesterday we need that spice. I was actually shocked that I totally forgot about him. You can see he's been at Brighton for 3 years now, and he used to play a lot for them. He played quite a lot of games. Look, he's 17, 19. But I just think he's been out of it recently, and he's a really good player. And good age, 24, reaching his peak, can play 10, can play 8, really creative with the ball. I think he'd be another statement signing in the Championship, personally.
I think
obviously this is loans. Like we're talking about loans.
Yeah, no, of course. I think it's quite interesting that I guess he's had minutes in the Premier League for Brighton as well, and we're not talking a few here and there. We're 12 starts, in 1920, and then 10 starts the season after. It makes you wonder. I mean, I wonder if was the change of managers around this time potentially? Would it have gone? I'm not sure when Houghton was in, and then we had Potter, didn't we? And then from Potter, it had gone to De Zerbi, obviously, last season. So, like Jack says here, at 24, might well just need a home. Yeah, I think he's played in England. We can see there, talking League Two for both Leyton Orient and Swindon Town. Well. Yeah, exactly, 17. So he's done his hard yards, and the fact that he was loaned out last season. And you'd imagine with Brighton doing as well as they are, and then now in Europe, the minutes it'll be even less of a premium for him, if that makes sense.
And I was thinking with Caicedo going, obviously that you'd think that's a space for him, but they'll obviously reinvest that money in top players.
Of course.
So I just think he'll get shoved out, and why not restart in the Championship side that's looking to go back to the Premier League?
Yeah,
and I'd advise anyone. Obviously we ain't got the actual stats because he's played in Belgium, but just to go watch it, the type of player he is, anything you can see on him, you'll be impressed with the type of player he is. He's really intelligent and skillful on the ball.
I agree. Really it's a good one. I remember his pace, especially in certain situations with Brighton when he has to break, the lines and move forward with the ball. He was really good in reading that specific part of the game, in certain moments. So I agree. He's a good player, a good shout from Loki, this one. Absolutely good player.
Yeah, no, that's great. Right, okay. I like the sound of it, and it makes sense. I was expecting a lot younger, you know what I mean? But the fact that he's 24 and he's done bits and already played in the Premier League a couple of times, it does, make sense, that one. Right, Andrea, let's come to you, mate. I think go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Loki talked about the midfielder. I'm going to talk about midfielder too, and especially we know they've been linked with the Glenn Kamara from Rangers. But it's a decent player. But I think this one, I'm going to be bold, is even better. Right, it will be even better because he's a player that I'm raving about it because he can do everything, but basically on a football pitch, can play in various positions. I'm talking about Tommy Doyle. And I'll start with an anecdote, because he made his debut in the 2019-2020 season with Man City. Of course, he's a product of Man City Academy. And also, as a particular story, because actually both of his grandfathers, his paternal one, Mike Doyle, and his maternal one, Green Pardo, used to play together as teammates in the 60s and the 70s for Man City. Mike Doyle's son and Pardo's daughter married, and so he is football blood. He has a connection with Man City too.
That is cool.
But in 2019-2020, he had his debut for Man City in a League Cup game versus Southampton. And that is interesting because, of course, some youngsters got their debut back then, and they were playing against Saints. And Shane Long, after he revealed Tommy Doyle revealed that Shane Long, after the game, had asked him during the game if he was Irish because of the surname. And he had asked him if he was Irish eligible. So it shows you at the time, after just his debut, a player like Shane Long, who has played for multiple seasons in the Premier League with a lot of experience, had asked this teenager if he was eligible for Ireland because he saw a player in there, And he's 5'8". Of course, he's been a vital part of Sheffield United last season when they got promoted, finished second in the Championship. You see, 33 games and 21 starts. So, of course, maybe he could have got more starts, but he had some a minor injury problem in mid-season. So that's why probably he didn't start all the games, but it was vital. I really like the fact that he has a tough mentality, first of all. And you can see that especially when he came on in the Euro Under-21s final. He had a very brief cameo. But he was tough and got in the face of his Spanish opponents. He was really strong to get to get a little bit of fear, in his opponent. He doesn't fear a tackle. He's a player who is not afraid to play hardball, to get his body on the line. And I really like that about him, to make his presence felt around midfield. He can play in various positions, but I think if you look at Ampadu, he can play near him, alongside him. And like I was saying, I see Ampadu like a more deep lying midfielder, like a playmaker with a more box-to-box one. Doyle is exactly that, He recovers the ball very well. He's a little bit of Gattuso, in him, with that Gattuso attitude. But if you look at his game going forward, to mention another Italian player who was recently moved from Sassuolo to Inter, it reminds me a little bit of Frattesi, who was played recently for Italy in the Nations League versus Spain and the Netherlands. Because he's good to recover when he recovers the ball, but if he goes forward, he's always near the ball. He's always near where the ball is, so he moves a lot in the final third, and he gives a lot of options to his teammates, because he often plays 2 touches. He gets near the ball, 1 touch, 2 touch, and passes the ball, or goes with a through ball. So I think going forward is exactly what we need, because if we look at our team right now, Falke in preseason is playing Ampadu on one side, and on the other side is playing a more fast player like Shackleton. But of course, because we need someone that presses and tries to recover the ball. Of course, Shackleton is good in recovering the ball, but going forward, of course, Doyle has more technique, can shoot, and can, of course, like I said with Alzate, I use the Colombian pronunciation because I cannot nail the English one, sorry. When he goes forward, he's good in breaking the team, and knows exactly where he needs to be with his central cuts, but also comes back on defense. So he's really good about that. And looking at another specific
just a quick question. Obviously, having a look at his history there, you can see obviously he's spent time at Cardiff at the lower end, then again at the top end. Is there any concern that he could go back to Sheffield United and give it a try in the Premier League on loan? Or
so, I saw something. He's linked with Wolves apparently.
Right.
However, he's concerned about the game time.
Okay.
So if he's a player that really wants to play, that's why this might be open. Yeah.
Exactly.
He's linked with some top teams. Yeah.
Exactly, like you said, and I think we'll talk about this one later. The option of playing week in and week out, compared to move to a bigger club in a bigger league. I mean, because this is a big club, of course, but to move in a bigger league, where you have to break into the team and you will start as a sub, not as a crucial player in the team.
Yeah.
So of course we know that Sheffield United are not a spending club. We've seen their new signings. They recently brought in Larouci, for example, from the French league. But yeah, I think looking at the next step for him, Manchester City, he has a contract till 2025. They believe in him. It's not at the level of McAtee yet. So if McAtee stays at Man City, I don't think there's a way for Doyle, especially with the number of players that have in his position, with Calvin too in that position. There's no way he stays at Man City this season, if he wants to play and gain minutes, And the next move, like Conor Gallagher, you remember he started at Charlton and Swansea. He did well, of course. And then the next step, of course, when he did very well with Charlton, mid-season he moved to Swansea. Of course, it's not the same because, of course, Doyle has just done a very good season with Sheffield United. But the next step for me would be to play week in and week out another season in a top championship side, in order to get back to City next season and see if he has options and opportunity to play there, especially because of course the under-21 side which won the Euros has a lot of potential, but Doyle has played overall just 10 minutes in the tournament. So he wasn't a crucial player in there because he had, of course, Angel Gomez and Curtis Jones ahead of him. So he didn't get the opportunities, like other players like Cole Palmer, who shined and probably are gonna stay in the Premier League, if not at City and another club on loan. Yeah. Maybe Luton, for example, where they can be a star player, a crucial one. And there's also another thing.
We both had him. This guy, didn't we? We both had him as one of our top targets.
Yeah, exactly. This one is the main thing. We both had him, me and Loki, in our list. And just to finish it off, I like the 1-2 touches, the verticality. knows where to cut, versatile playmaker because he moves in the final third, and it's like you have two playmakers, Ampadu and Doyle in front of him. You have two players who can pass the ball really well. So it's also very good for me in stopping the counter attack. It reminded me a little bit of if you remember when he was at Huddersfield, especially of Luis O'Brien, when he used to chase the ball and recover it. He has that style of tackling for me.
No, I think he looks like he would be a great acquisition, and we'll have to wait and see. I think, what would you say? Because I'm seeing a lot of people in the chat mentioning about our youngsters, if you like, and what does that mean? Because straight away people go, well, why do you want to block this person? Why do you want to block that person? But we do need to flesh out the squad, right?
See, for me, I get that, I do. But these guys have proven at this level how good they can be.
Yeah.
And there's 3 positions in midfield, and they're not all going to play 46 games a season. They're going to get a lot of chance. Archie Gray's 17. Like, he could do this for 2-3 more years before he's ready. He doesn't need to rush him in.
Yeah.
Darko JB's 19? He'll get 10 to 15, 20 games this season, maybe coming off the bench. But that's still a good development. And then next year might be the year where he's fully grown. He understands the league. You can't just bring players through. You have to be patient. And these guys have done it. That's the difference.
Yeah, we're talking about players who, of course, we all rate them. JB, I rate personally too. But they are playing in the players in the making. Wade has played in League One and played a bunch of games in the Premier League. JB has not played yet at the senior level. He just played in the under-23s. He had his debut and played in the League Cup and as his debut in the Premier League. But they're not playing consistently. They need to be developed, but they need to be developed without rushing them. Yeah. So that they need to follow that specific process. The process that Doyle has gone down with. That Doyle has followed in the past, because he from City moved to Hamburg. In Hamburg, he didn't got games in the Zweite Bundesliga. So in January, he moved to Cardiff, a team which was struggling. He got there and played well. And the next step, he went to another championship side, and it was crucial for them. So you see, step after step. And now he's a top player for the championship for me. So that's the main difference. He's not blocking the path of our youngsters. It's helping our youngsters to grow gradually, not rushing them into the sides.
And like we said with Ampadu, that's the standard, right? If you bring a player in, Darko JB and Archie Gray, for example, in that position, we'll look at this guy who's similar age to them, who's killing it in the league, and they'll think, all right, we need to do that. I need to step my game up.
And the youngsters, of course, are very good for depth. We've all said that we would like to keep them, because they've shown also in preseason that they can play, and they can be good options during the whole season. It's 42 games in the end, so we will need them throughout the season, and they can grow gradually throughout the season, like other players, especially at Norwich during Farke's reign, have done in the past.
Yeah, 100%. I just want to put this up from Blades Ramble, who says, "Evening lads, as a Blade, I'll be honest, Doyle won't play in the Championship again. We want him back on loan, and Wolves are sniffing for a permanent deal." So, as someone with like used to know him a lot more than me, seeing him at 18th, then at the top end, I'm like, I think maybe he wants to take that next move, but we'll have to wait and see. And Blades Ramble will have seen him regularly, definitely. I don't know why everyone's saying happy birthday in the chat as well. It is not my birthday at all, so I don't know where that's. Trust me, I would tell you. So I don't know where that's come from. So yeah, they're on the wind up. It's probably Ash. Again, he's always doing it. Yeah. It's probably Ash. But yeah, happy normal day. Thank you. Right. Okay. So we've had two great additions. What's the right word? Suggestions there from both. Let's go back to Lockie now, and maybe a controversial pick, pal.
Yeah, we're gonna get controversial now. So this one is a player for Manchester United. Hannibal is called. Hannibal, I forget, it's Majri.
Lecter, yeah. No. Majri.
Yeah.
Tunisian.
Hannibal. He's a really good player. Before, like, I know some of the chat's going to go crazy, but I don't care. He's really good. And if you can get him on loan, you get him on loan. Was on loan at Birmingham. He's 20 years old. We saw him against us. He was good against us when he played against us. He was, very bright. Been looking on social media. He's been playing recently. Playing against Wrexham and another game. Man United fans think he's really impressive, but are worried that he's not going to get in the team because the players are bringing in. Perfect for that top tier kind of championship loan, in my opinion. Like. That's wait for the chat to me. Yeah, he's a quality player, Harry. Exactly. Like we got. I know it's tough, but we got to. He was in Birmingham last year in the championship, so he's already done it, and he's fairly impressive there. And from what I've been told, he's really come on pre-season. He's with Man United on the pre-season tour. He's impressing, but probably not ready for the first side. Probably wants more game time at championship level. I think what you see a lot is top players these days tend to do 2 loans in the championship. You know, we've seen recently, you know, they do the kind of lower loan or League One, then they do that top championship loan. And I think if you can get this guy who's how do you explain it? We saw him, he can literally do anything, right? He can tackle. He's really good at tackling. One thing I think we'd like as a fan base, he's one of them, he will put a tackle and he will scream into the crowd. You know, we love that from a passion point of view. On the ball, he's creative, he's direct. Again, talking about feet and technical ability, really good build-up play. You know, he can progress.
Sorry, I didn't mean to do that.
It's fine. He can. What's that? George Hall. Yeah. We're not getting George Hall. He's the one from Chelsea, right? Is that George Hall?
No, that's Lewis Hall. We were linked to George Hall in the past, though, but we were a Premier League club then.
All right, yeah. We're not getting any of the halls. But anyway, it's probably similar to the type of play, like I said, that number 8 or 10, who I think he can play either. Just a busy guy who impressed a lot at Birmingham last year. And in my opinion, with the fans, you know, behind him and the type of player he is, he would excel in a good atmosphere. He's that type of player who would, like Rafinha did, you know, that mean player who would take the game by the scruff of the neck and use his energy that he's got inside of him to create chances for Leeds. You know, look at his assists. In Birmingham, who weren't great. They were all right last season, you know, brought it together a little bit, but weren't great. Look at his progressive carries and his progressive passes received, which is an important one because he's receiving the pass, which when you watch him, he's very good on the half turn in high spaces. So anywhere in between the defence and midfield, he gets the ball in that position. He will most of the time win a free kick or will create a chance. He's very good at that. Last year was a good year for him to establish himself in the championship. And I think now he's had that. Going for that top tier kind of championship loan is perfect for him because, like I said, I don't think he'll get in at Man United this year. Obviously, with the money they're spending as well. Maybe he will. He's on the pre-season tour. They clearly believe in his talent, but I just don't think so. And he's really the type of player, and I'm going to say this a lot, that we really need, that spice. You know, we've got Ampadu, like Andrea said, who can progress the ball from the back nicely, but who's going to be the guy in front of him? We don't really have that. With experience, we've got players who could do that role, but not players who have done that role or done it in the championship. This guy did it in the championship last year, and he was slightly inconsistent last year, but that was last year. He's grown since then. He's been impressive pre-season, and despite the badge he plays for, he's a very good talent and would work really well under Daniel Farke. Loves to run as well. Really loves to run.
Yeah. And look, he finished 17th at Birmingham as well, you know what I mean? So coming to a team that maybe is challenging at the top. I've had a look because someone was saying he's already gone to Luton, which isn't true. But there are links to both Luton and Leicester as a potential destination for it.
I think that's the level, right? Lower Premier League, high championship. But it's to him now, again, with a lot of these players, he's competing with the Premier League because they are good players, and we have to be aggressive, just like it was with Ampadu. The Premier League teams were led to believe in him, and we got that. So with a loan as well, you guarantee game time and all this stuff.
Exactly.
Of course, he'd do it. You know.
Yeah. Exactly. And also he's an international player.
The same as well.
He was going to be on here, but he's injured. I think. Right, he was in a cast. I think he really hurt himself in pre-season.
Who's this?
Ahmed Diallo.
Oh, no, I said Darlow. Yeah, but Ahmed Diallo probably would have gone out on loan as well, wouldn't he? To be fair.
Look, yeah, I was saying that he's also an international player. No, he's been at the World Cup with Tunisia. He's played with Tunisia. He had to choose between France and Tunisia. And the funny fact, however, would be that it will be the first loan from Man United since Cameron Borwi Jackson, if I remember correctly.
Oh, God. But you know what? He's a good player, isn't he? I think the club won't be bothered about who he plays for.
No.
If he's at Leeds United,
I don't even think Leeds fans would at this stage, bro. Like,
but,
the only thing that I don't like about his style of football is that sometimes he's too aggressive on the ball. And I have a flash about when he got subbed in when they lost at Liverpool 5-0, was it? Yeah, and he
just started hammering people. I remember.
He can be wound up.
Yeah,
but that's learning, isn't it? That's part of it. Maybe he's learned from that. I don't know, but he's a really talented player at the end of the day.
Yeah,
and one I think would be
we need
fairly doable. I think it'd be doable. I think it's quite realistic.
Yeah. One to watch. I wouldn't have minded that Manone. But I think he's getting closer to the first team by the sounds of stuff you're reading and that.
He's got injured too.
Did he pick up a knock as well?
Yeah.
I'm going to put him in the list as well. But
yesterday night he got injured, I think.
Did he?
Yeah.
Well, there you go then. Right, okay. Next one on the list. I think I've enjoyed all three up to this point, lads.
Okay, now I'm gonna turn into Ozzy Matthews, Red Dead Redemption reference. So I'm gonna try to sell you this player because this one is our next number 10. Trust me, this one can be our number 10. I've looked at him extensively, a lot of videos. Maybe some of the people won't like him because they may say he's inconsistent, has been inconsistent, but this is our number 10. I'm talking about Malik Tillman. Malik Tillman. He is right now back at Bayern Munich, but he hasn't taken part in their preseason tour in Japan. So he's in Bavaria right now, and he has a contract till 2025. He has played in the Scottish Premiership next season, and we've seen in the past that a lot of players, like Ryan Christie, for example, the next step is moving from the Scottish Premiership to the Championship. I think. Yeah, exactly. Diallo too. Good shout. And he's a number 10 versatile one, but also this one is a fun fact actually, but not that fun. It's also serious. If you look at this 8, it's 6'2". At Norwich, Farke used to play players with similar bodies and physicality, but also pace. Stieperman was 6'3", and Vrancic was 6'2". So if you look at the type of player, number 10, tall, strong, a lot of pace between the lines too, is similar to them in that system specifically. And also Joe in the past asked, I want Farke to get players from Germany. So is the connection. Yeah. He was born in Germany. He plays for the USA, but he was born in Germany because his father is American.
We love a German connection. Don't we?
Exactly. You see, I'm trying to sell the player right now. I'm turning into a con man. Yeah, he was born in Germany, American father and German mother. So he grew up in Germany, basically has a little connection apart from his paternal family side to the USA. Last season, he went on loan for the first time because he played a bunch of games as a substitute for Bayern Munich as a youngster and played regularly for the second team. He moved to Rangers. And of course, I mentioned inconsistency. Sometimes he needs to stay focused. It's the same of Kamara. Sometimes he needs his focus turned on. His mind turned on because sometimes he is a little bit of inconsistent. And what I like about him, honestly, is that he gets back on the pitch near the two deep midfielders and gets the ball back and breaks the pressing because often he gets back and turns around, bringing the man who's pressing him with him. So he moves a lot really well off the ball and on the ball, because on the ball he cuts through lines, he creates the space for the wingers and creates the space for the cut of the striker too. So I really think he's good as a link up in the middle. And when he runs centrally, actually, he reminds me a little bit of Rutter, because if you see his style of run, and when he runs centrally, he has a similar style of his run with the one of Rutter, you know. And also another thing that I liked, that I pointed out here, is that he plays a lot of through balls and leads the counter attack, breaks the pressing. Like I said, I think it's an ideal number 10 in this system, really. And of course, we need to mention the fact that, like Tommy Doyle and of course the other players that we mentioned, some of them at least, there's other clubs interested, because of course Bayern have left him out of the pre-season tour, and they want him to go out on loan again because he had a small injury. He's recovering at their training center in Munich right now, but it is a minor one. So they want to send him out on loan again. And there's also other clubs interested, like Eintracht Frankfurt, Stuttgart, again, like Nubel, and Brentford and Brighton, which were interested in him recently. But again, the option is, you want to play week in and week out, or be a substitute to break into the team. I don't think he's proven himself at the top level yet, because of course the Championship is related in the case of Tommy Doyle. The Scottish Premiership, especially with the record of Rangers in the Champions League last season, is of course maybe a step too far for him right now, moving from the Scottish Premiership to a Premier League club, and it might slow down his development. So I need to mention this one too, the fact that he was a German under-21 international. He had 4 caps and 3 goals for them before he switched to the USA. And last season, 28 games in the SPL, 10 goals and 4 assists. And he played 14 games as a number 10 and had 6 goals and 3 assists. And then 7 games as a right winger. And I need to mention this one too, because it shows you that he's a really good talent. Rangers had a 5 million option to buy. But in his contract, unlike the contract that Horta studies, you know, Bayern had a cancellation clause which allowed them to cancel the option to buy from Rangers. And now, when they will sell him in the future, if they sell him, of course, they'll have to pay 1 million and a 10% sell-on clause to Rangers if he leaves Bayern, of course. They believe in the player, but right now, for me, he needs another season on loan. And I think moving from Rangers to Leeds to the Championship to a club challenging for promotion, we lack actually right now of a number 10. I think he could be our starting number 10, to be fair. And I really like the look of him, because he's an all-around player. He can play in various positions, like I mentioned, mainly as a number 10, linking up, but also can shoot. He has a very good dribbler. He dribbles a lot, especially when he gets wide, but also in the middle, because I said he breaks the pressing with that. And
do you think as well that maybe a move to Brighton or a Brentford he's not going to get game time in the Prem? He still needs to grow, would you say?
For me, he still needs to grow, and maybe as a starter in a club like Leeds challenging for promotion. If I was Bayern Munich, I'll try to send him on loan to a club where he gets games and start. Because for me, he's good enough. And looking at the type of player, his style of play, his height, his physicality in the middle is exactly what we need as a number 10.
Also, as well, Thomas Tuchel is very good friends with Daniel Farke. So
that'd be nice. That would be nice. Exactly. And as well, like Nick Hammond has a working knowledge of the Scottish market, having worked at Celtic as well, right? So you'd think maybe, you know, there might be something there. Like we might be aware of him. Someone did call him in the chat. I think it was Fear the Medford Peter Crouch. I quite liked it. I can't lie. Listen, all have been bob on right up to this point. Amazing. Great work as always, lads. Who are we moving on to next then?
So the next one is this. I want to switch up onto a centre back, a little bit different. Stop with centre mids all the time. So I switched it up and I went for Bashir Humphreys from Chelsea.
Okay.
What is he now? 20 years old, very young centre back. I already see the experience thing, but like we said, we need depth. And a big thing that I'm going on here is going away with Chelsea this pre-season. He got selected to go, which shows the coach clearly believes in his talent and wanted to see him. He went on loan last year halfway through to Paderborn in Bundesliga 2, where he played, well, he went there second half of the season, played 12 out of 12 games. And from what I've been told by Chelsea, well, what Chelsea fans are saying on Twitter, he was very good. And this preseason, what they've seen from him, his growth, he's come back a man, if you would, from a boy to a man. He's really developed. He said apparently he's become really good on the ball. He was always good in the air. He's always really quick, good tackler, but he's really grown on the ball, a lot confident in their preseason, and he's been playing quite a lot. And again, and also Chelsea fans are actually saying with their injuries, he might be one who they think might get a chance there. Which is interesting given, the lack of experience. But so from my perspective, if a player of that experience is being touted out by Chelsea fans saying he is really good and he's a really good talent and he's been really well this year, why not take that risk in the Championship when you have, the experienced players around him in terms of Cooper? Do you know why I link him to? It reminds me of oh my God, his name always goes out of my head. Godfrey, that's the one. Just like that. Plays just like Godfrey, in my opinion. He's the same height. He's very quick very quick for centre-back. Very good in the air as well. Tackling and blocking is brilliant. And he's really developed on the ball. He likes to drive out with it as well. Is that type of player now, looking at that Godfrey type player who can play it with an experienced centre-back and create a real dynamic partnership. Like I said, this one is a bit more of a risk given his age, but, Daniel Farke, if he's got a young talented player there, we know he'll get the best out of them. And in terms of attributes, he does suit the system. And I think from what I've seen, Chelsea are happy to loan him, with the right opportunities. If, they've got a defensive problem right now, so they're actually considering keeping him, which shows the faith in him. So this one's, I don't know much about, but what I do know is I had a look today. Chelsea fans really rate him. Even given all the signings they've got, they think he's done really well this year and deserves a good move or a chance to play for Chelsea. So for me, that's enough for a coach to look into it and look at the trajectory really from where he's come from in a year, from being alone in the Bundesliga to doing really well in that league, to actually finding it too easy. Came to Chelsea pre-season back a man, real growth through the summer, a player with a real chance and really wants to impress. Give him a chance, give him that Championship move. We've seen it with Doyle, who's now at Leicester. When he built up like that, came out of nowhere. Howard Bellis as well, player who kind of did all right in Belgium, then came to the Championship and really grew as he got older. And like I mentioned with Godfrey as well, came out of nowhere. It was brilliant as soon as he came in. Centre-backs are quite difficult to fit in, but once you have the right centre-back to fit a system which suits the attributes of the player, they can excel. Especially, look at Ben White. No one had a clue. He was on at Peterborough. Was it Peterborough this year before he came to Leeds?
Peterborough,
and then we got him, and how good was he? So that's my thinking. Like I said, it's a risk, but it's definitely an option. If we need that centre-back, that type of centre-back for a loan deal, I think it'd be a really good one, in my opinion.
Definitely. And listen, they've got the issues with Levi Colwell and stuff at Chelsea, so you'll imagine he's got. So there's potential, obviously, he could be there for a loan, definitely. Sticking with. I assume centre backs. Do you want to give us your central defender?
He's 20 years old. Liam just asked him.
20.
Mine is 22 years old instead, and this is a little bit low key, to be fair, because he didn't have in the past experiences in the Championship. I'm talking about Jake O'Brien from Crystal Palace, and I'll need to give a little bit of context, connecting back to what I said about our centre backs. Right now we have as left-footed centre-backs, Cooper, Strauch, and also Yalda, who is now playing at left-back because, of course, there's rumours about an advanced long move, like we've seen also by Farke after the Monaco game, his comment about Weber moving to Gladbach. So on the right, instead, we have Cresswell. So surely there's been links with Nat Phillips, for example. My main pick is still Joe Rodon, but I will welcome with open arms.
You will not let that one go, will you?
Yeah, I'm trying to convince
I get
the
it.
management to bring it in. Yeah, but also for me, after we bring in another experienced centre back, we've lost Llorente, we've lost Koch. We'll lose probably also Berber too. I think we'll need another lone player in, and if not a lone player, we need, of course, to rush one of the youngsters. And in that position, we have Mullen and Moore. But for me, they're not yet. They need, especially Moore. Moore is good on the ball, but for me now it was just.
We haven't seen him, have we? Actually, since that first game, if you remember,
exactly.
they've not been about. Yeah,
it was good in that first game, but and it was good also for the under-23s. But he'll need a long move to get experience under his belt, So that's why I'm mentioning another player on loan. And Jacob Bryant is especially because he's 6'5", so he's really tall and really strong on the ball because he's a 185 lbs. So he's a product of he's playing in the Crystal Palace Academy, but he's actually from Cork, Ireland, from the Rebel County. So he used to play in the League of Ireland with Cork City too. Then, of course, he moved to Crystal Palace. He had a brief loan from January 2022 to Swindon Town in League 2. They reached the playoffs. He played 21 games. And the last season, they sent him on to the Belgian second tier, to one of the historical clubs of Belgium, one of the clubs from the capital, RWD Molenbeek. And they got promoted. They got promoted back to the first year of Belgian football. And like I said, sometimes in certain characteristics is comparable to Cresswell because he's tall, he's strong, and he's very strong. What happened?
The chat just making me laugh, man. They just put in loads of different thingy, and the last one from Theo just tipped me over edge. I'm sorry, mate. Go on.
No worries. Sometimes it's good to have a little bit of laugh.
Yeah.
You have to have fun.
No, but it's rude, man. But it's them in the chat, man. They know what they're doing.
No worries. Yeah, I was saying, especially I've watched some clips of Molenbeek last season because I wanted to. I rated him when he was in the under-23s of Crystal Palace. He was also the captain in that side. And he's very good in aerial duels and he's quick with the ball. Despite his age, he's also had a lot of pace. So looking to get more depth in the squad, I think that type of player, tall, strong, good with the ball, with both feet actually, is right-footed, but he's good with his left foot too, and can play both on the right and on the left side as a left centre back, like Struijk. Of course, he's a different player. If we're looking to bring in that type of player, tall and strong, good with the ball, one similar to Grant Hanley, for example, I think it can be a good replacement for Cresswell or the experienced centre back who will sign when Weber leaves. Because looking at the type of centre backs that Farke likes, it won't be a difficult loan for me in order to get. Because of course he has played in League 2 and he's been one of the best players in that side of Molenbeek, which got promoted back to the Belgian top tier last season. So for sure, Crystal Palace, if they get an opportunity to loan a player to the Championship, it's a no-brainer actually for them because it's a total experience. Even if, of course, it's not going to be a starter, it's going to be a squad player, but it's also 100%. Another experience for him. And if he gets some experience, maybe he can get a move next season to a Championship side or a League 1 side because, of course, it's not Premier League quality right now. He's 22. If he was Premier League quality, he would have already shined, and they would have already sent him to another level of football, another level of league. Of league. But looking at the Championship, I think as a squad player, it can be a good addition for his characteristics specifically.
Want to watch them? Want to watch? Of course, Crystal Palace they have good history as well, bringing through players. To be fair, don't they? If you think about it, they've had some good ones through the years. Right, okay then, Lockie, back to you. If I'm right, instead of they got 2 more each,
Two.
I think?
Yep.
Two. Yeah,
Totally right.
Go ahead.
Totally right.
Right, that's what I'm going to try and say. Very difficult. We'll call him Tim, but his name is Tim Arog Banum. Is that about right? What? Go on, you give it a try, Joe.
Irogbunum, maybe?
Irogbunum. Tim Irogbunum.
Irogbunum?
We'll call him Tim. Anyway.
Yeah, Tim.
Good old Tim. Plays for Aston Villa. He's currently with them on the pre-season. I think the comment made about the watching players, waiting for the Premier League to come back. I think that's a Villa player personally, because obviously they're in transitions because they've just gone to Europe. So a lot of these players are being looked at. But yeah, he's currently with Aston Villa.
Can you hear that?
Hear what? No.
Bloody advert on that. Sorry, I'm trying to stop the advert. Right, go ahead. Go on. Sorry.
Yeah, so Tim, we'll call him. He's a central midfielder. Big lad. And I mean, an absolute unit. Jude Bellingham type height and pace and power, that type of player. The other guys are more technical players. This guy is an absolute unit. Big lad. He's 20 years old as well. Was on loan last year at QPR. Was probably one of their standout players in that midfield. They've been asking for him back. It's been denied apparently. Emery wants to see him more. And I think they want a more ambitious loan, if it is a loan, to be honest. That's where we come in. That's where the top teams in Championship come in. Yeah, was on loan last year in the Championship. Played, as you can see, 32 times. He's more of a deeper player, more of an 8 or a CDM. So he's not a goal getter. He's more of a... I'd still say he's higher up than Ampadu. I think they could work really well together because he can defend, as you can see there, blocks and aerial duels and tackles, but also progressive carries, successful take-ons. He's a different player to Ampadu. Definitely an 8 for me, not a 10. But if I don't know if anyone watched Birmingham last year, I don't know, probably did. But he is. I talk about Jude Bellingham in terms of attributes, the way he can just dominate a game. He's one of them players. He's really tall, but he's really good with his feet. And he's 2 or 3 players around him. Don't bother him. He'll get out of it. He'll drive forward with so much power that you just can't stop him. Probably, I argue, probably one of the most realistic on this list, just based on the fact that I don't think he's that level for Villa yet, given they've just in the Europa League and they're signing some top players. And one who I think is now ready for a top Championship loan. I also think he's one who will suit Ampadu in midfield. I think we look at Glenn Kamara as that more of a technical number 8. This guy can do what Glenn Kamara can, but with pace and power. He will drive the ball forward in seconds. He's very good at that. He can pick a pass out. He can defend. What I like about him as well is when you watch him in a game, he's running everywhere. But when he's off the ball, he knows exactly where to be. His positional play is very good. Again, the only real thing I can think that he needs to improve on is you look there, his assists, just that final action. But he's not that guy. He's a number 8. And I'm a player, again, who did really well in the Championship last year for a poor side. Now ready, put himself on that market, doing really well for Villa as well, I'm led to believe, in pre-season. I watched the podcast earlier, Villa won, and they spoke highly of him and said he's impressed. But again, probably not enough to be a starter for Villa. Yeah. So get a loan in there and really develop yourself. Like I said, with these, we're going for players that have proven it. They are young, but they've all proven it. Especially Hannibal as well, and this guy. They're proving it in the Championship. They're ready for that next step.
Not great clubs either as well,
exactly.
Right? So
and they've been stand out in poor clubs. Yeah. Now they just want to be part of this guy. I think a possession-based side as well. Think Jude Bellingham, right? That's the attributes you get with this guy. I'm not saying he's as good as Jude Bellingham for anyone, obviously. But in terms of attributes and the way he tries to play in a possession-based system, I just think he's dominant with Ampadu in midfield. Yeah, and this one would be really good.
I think, we've seen, as we can check from the ones we've looked at and other loans that we know about that have gone on to be successes, the likes of Conor Gallagher, etc. Yeah. They do start lower end Championship. Yeah. They have a good season and then they get moved to a team at the top end of the Championship, and it's that sort of progression. Vlaho Villa says, "I'm not joking. I think if we were to buy Tyler Adams, he'd go out on loan. But I'm leaning towards we don't buy another midfielder." and Tim stays with us. So that shows and sort of backs up what you're saying, Lockie, in terms of a lot of Villa fans.
I didn't realise. I'm like, what do you mean? But Tyler Adams plays for Leeds. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
I didn't realise he was a Villa fan.
He's a Villa fan, so he obviously knows about him and he's obviously rated. Otherwise, he wouldn't be saying that. So he's going on to say, look, if we bought Adams or someone of that ilk, maybe then we'd look to loan him out. So
so that's what I've got as well from what I've seen.
Use it as a sweetener, right? If you want Adams, give us him on loan as well, and then you can have him. You know what I mean? You get a free run at him. Right, nice. I like that, mate. Anyone that's even 5% of what Jude Bellingham can be, I'll sign off on, mate. I'm happy with that, right? I'll take that straight to Farker. Andrea, who have you got up next, mate?
Yeah, I'm just gonna say also the progressive carries stood out there for me.
Yeah, it's a unit, mate.
The next one, the next one, we're talking about the striker, Danny Namazo / Loader, because in England it is known as Danny Loader. In Europe, is known as Danny Namazo. Why we're talking about him? Because, of course, we need a crucial striker like Joel Piroe, for example. But like I said, for me, we need two strikers. One, the main one. Another one, a good backup, like Gianpaolo, for example. But not say it out loud. And the third choice right now for me, unfortunately, is Patrick Bamford, right in my mind. I don't get, honestly, the sticks that he gets. I think it's unfair. If you want to criticize him, you can criticize him for his performances. But I think there's some people, not right here, not in the chat, who crossed the line in the recent hours to me, and that's really unfair because he's a good person. He's never disrespected the club. If you want to criticize his performances, fair enough, because like we said, we can praise and criticize footballers based on their performances, but you should never criticize the person because he never disrespected Leeds. And talking about the striker, I think the top one, Bamford, and another option for me, because Rutter for me, like I said, is not a number 9. He's more like a winger or a second striker. But we don't play with a second striker in the system, so a winger. I mentioned him, Danny Namazo, 22 years old, 6 foot 0, basically. Sorry for the measurement, because we use centimeters in Italy, so I'm not accustomed to that kind of measurement. And like I said, you may remember him, some of you, because played at Reading is a part of the academy when he had some of the list of the problems in 2019, 2020, especially in 2018, 2019, he played 21 games, and in 18, 19, and 19, 20, he played 7 games for Reading. So when they had the early signs of the crisis that I'm going through in League One, by the time when they went in the Championship. So in 2020, he moved to Porto, and we all know that Porto is a club in Portugal which has an eye for talent. And when they move, they are, of course, a selling club. They sell players in order to gather revenue and invest the money to bring in other players, especially young, in order to develop them and then sell them again. So he's moved to Porto and he started to play in their second team. Their second team is not like Premier League 2 with a specific league. They played in the second tier of and the second division of Portuguese football. So in its first season there, in the second tier of Portuguese football, he played 32 games and had 8 goals. And then he got better the next season, 2021-2022, 14 goals in 31 games. Performances which guaranteed him a place in the first team last season at Porto. And he had 7 competitions, just 3 league, but he played in 22 games. And what needs to be pointed out, of course, is that he was called up 34 times to the senior team, but started just 5 games, and was subbed in 17 times. And he played a total in the league, in Liga NOS, of 438 minutes. There's not that much for a player of 22 years old who wants to play after 2 good seasons in the second tier. So for me, the next step for him, like a club like Porto, he has a contract till 2025. into, like Doyle and Tillman, is going out on loan and play in a good league. You see the stats. The stats, of course, look amazing. Yeah, 91%, passes attempt, 95%. What I like about him is that he's a poacher, a finisher. He has a very good off-the-ball movement, and he's also strong, physical. So sometimes, if you look at his moves, if you remember Roof when he played with under Bielsa, that type of moves, but he's strong and physical. So he's a finisher. Like I said, however, 7 goals in 36 matches in all competitions. But look too at the comparisons of goals per minute played, because he played just 438 minutes and scored 7 goals. So you have to look also at the goals per minute played too. Other characteristics that I like, are that he has a good ball progression when he gets the ball. He progresses well, stretches the team because he's always leading the line and is always trying to get more depth for the team going forward, and also trying to find the space, behind the defense. So it's the defense, especially the centre backs, of course, have to keep an eye out for him, have to watch him and mark him closely. So he doesn't drop back often, but when he does, of course, he gets the ball. He doesn't passes to teammates. He usually, the 50% of times, turns around to try to find the space to get a shooting opportunity. So like an option from the bench, not a starter, because we need a established one. It can be a good option for me, especially looking at this situation, because right now Porto will bring in other strikers, especially if Taremi leaves. Maybe Taremi, the Iranian striker, and he's not gonna jump straight into the team. So for me, after 2 good seasons in the Portuguese second division, and a experiencing season, because of course he's got tons of experience. He played in 22 games, had 22 appearances in the top Portuguese league. The next step for me can be a loan to a good league, a league that he already knows.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the important thing, a league that he's already aware of with his time at Reading. Fergal Kelly says, happy scouting report Saturday. Great job, lads. Thank you. All thanks to Lockie and Andrea. Philip just wanted to come back in on Tim Arigubunum, who says the guy's ceiling is top level. He needs coaching though, as when Michael Beale left QPR, got lost in a bad setup. In my opinion, he will leave on loan. He will be in high demand though. So yeah, perfect then. Perfect. Thank you for that, Philip. Thanks for jumping in. And what else is great is that we've got fans of other football clubs watching this show that know these players and are saying, oh yeah, he plays for, and that's what I love about this channel and the community that we've created over the last few years in the Premier League, that people still watch and they're not Leeds fans. So it's just a testament to these two lads' work and the channel itself and the community that's been created in the chat. So big up to you all. Right, okay, so last one then each then. We have, two more players. One each. Go, Lockie.
So I was just going to quickly say about the other fans in here, the Villa fans in the chat, if you're still here. I want to ask you about Jadon Philogene and Omari Kellerman. What are you guys saying?
And Ben Crisena too, the left back too.
Let me go back this one too. Any loans for those guys? Very good players. Omari Kellerman, by the way, one for the future. Watch out for that name. What a player. But yeah, anyway, my final one is Charlie Patino.
Okay.
From Arsenal.
You need the place to go.
Exactly. Great song. It's part of it, right? You know what I mean? Yeah. Charlie Patino from Arsenal, 19 years old, valued at 12 million on transfer market, was on loan at Blackpool last year.
Okay.
And again, a poor side in the Championship, but from what I've seen online, was the standout player by far, one of the standout players by far in a poor side. Another central midfielder, can play defensive, can play attacking, can play the 8. Kind of an all-round type player. Similar to, I guess, the other guys in this list, in a poor side as well. Like, you know, what I got from what I'd seen of this guy, and he's always been highly rated. He was kind of that wonder kid stage at Arsenal, never really got that first team spot. I've actually seen some Arsenal fans online today annoyed because Arteta has said he's come out apparently and said the 3 Premier League side have contacted Arsenal over his summer, leave to be to them Luton and Sheffield, right?
Okay.
So again, my thinking with that is financially we can compete with those sides, and again, guarantee you first team football.
Yeah,
so that's the thing, is it all these players are going to be liked by Premier League because they're all really good.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Lower league Premier Leagues are going to love these players. But Charlie Patino he's just very good. Like on the ball, he can drive with it. He's quick. He can run forward with the ball. He can pass the ball. He can progress it really well. He can defend. You know, he's good at set pieces. In a really poor Blackpool side, I just think that Premier League is probably a little step right now. I think he needs a little bridge gap. Whatever the saying is.
Yeah, stepping stone. Yeah, that works.
And again, it's same with a lot of these guys. It's that 8 role, that box to box tenacity midfield, that little bit of flair and a little bit of quality. Yeah. And that's what I've tried to find in these guys. You know, there's loads of wingers that I've got in here, and talking about Amari Kellerman and Jadon Philogene from Villa, who I think guys said the class. So maybe one of those. Keep them in your minds as well. Let's see. But Charlie Patino is clearly not wanted at Arsenal by the first team. I'm pretty sure he didn't go on the pre-season tour, which I've seen online some Arsenal fans not happy about. They like him. But Arteta is notorious for, well, not notorious, but he likes proven players as opposed to the youth. You know, he likes to get his own guys in. And yeah, another player in that bracket now where he's had his first season in the Championship. He's done well in a bad side, and he's ready to perform at a higher Championship level for me.
Just on that though as well, sometimes managers know better than fans as well, because they were all mentioning Saliba for seasons and seasons before Arteta actually gave him his chance in the Premier League, and when he did, boy did he rip it up. So he needed them loans out in France, right? Mm-hmm. Before being
players
at the level.
Players need to, learn from different experiences, playing in different positions. Yeah. And I just think from a really struggling Blackpool side to a Premier League side, it's probably just a step too far right now. Yeah. Get that top loan in the Championship and really develop yourself, because I love him. From what I've seen of him, I've only watched him once last year when they were on Sky once. But he's just really good on the ball, similar to the other guys, but different, more smaller technical player, but really quick, good with the ball. Yeah, another one of that bracket, but another really 100%. Good signing.
It's a shame we can't get a ESR in it. I'd love a Emile Smith Rowe.
Maybe, Doki, because we both wanted him. Maybe Sheffield United got in Charlie Patino so we can get Tommy Doyle.
Exactly. They can't get them all, can they? They're all linked with these players. Not all can go there.
No, that's true. That is true. Right. Last but certainly not least, who have we got?
Yeah, we've got a notorious one, Aaron Ramsey. Not the Cardiff one, of course, but the player.
The Villa fans are loving this, aren't they?
I know, right? This is
appreciate it though.
A Villa podcast right now. We're gonna sing also "Don't Look Back in Anger" after the finish of the stream, like they do at Villa Park at this stage. Aaron Ramsey, of course, is a player who did really well in the Championship last season. He's the brother of the more notorious Jacob Ramsey. What stands out to me actually is that the season before the last one, he played in League One. He played in League One with Cheltenham, 15 appearances and 1 goal and 1 assist. But last season, mid-season, he changed the teams. He started at Norwich, 18 appearances, 3 goals and 3 assists. Then mid-season, he changed and went to Borough, but because he got injured, not because he didn't do well at Norwich. And if you look at the total stats, 29 appearances, 8 goals and 4 assists. He did better at Borough because he was a different system. When he went to Norwich, of course, at the beginning, he had Dean Smith, another manager, of course, who we knew because he used to manage Villa. Then, of course, they changed and they got David Wagner in. But I think he did better under Michael Carrick at Borough. It's another player who's versatile, who is, like I said, with Doyle. But of course, Doyle is more a central midfielder, while Ramsey is number 10 for me, an advanced attacking midfielder. He's always near the ball. He's a link-up player in the middle. He gives option in central positions, in central areas. Can be also one who helps overloading on one side when you have to press. So I don't think there's more to say, because I think he's one of the players who are better known by people who follow the Championship, because of course they Middlesbrough reached the playoffs and lost in the semi-final with Coventry. It's similar actually to his brother, but for me it's more confined to the final third. I think Jacob, on the other hand, can do also has characteristics in the defensive end too. I think Aaron instead is more confined in the final third. So, but yeah, he's in the list because he did well for 2 good teams last season, especially in his first one in a top league, because the Championship is turning it into a Premier League too, in terms of level, and especially
Man City reserves, in it.
Yeah, exactly. But moving to Norwich and then Borough after spending a loan, after having a loan at Cheltenham, it can be a big step, in terms of the difference of level, because of course Cheltenham are not one of the top sides in League One, and is a small place, a small town compared to Norwich and Borough, and adapting well to the Championship after that step, which could have been a big step for him. I think shows that he's a very good player for the Championship right now. He's not getting through at Villa because, unlike his brother, he still needs to develop his whole game. Like I said, he's more confined in the areas of the final third, unlike his brother, because his brother plays a lot more of around. He's more like a run-around player on the pitch. If you look at the distance covered and the areas covered. So yeah, he was in the list. Actually, another one who might have been in the list here is other 2 actually from Man City, because we went to Man City. Facundo Buonanotte as a number 10 and Massimo Perrone, who they got from Vélez Sarsfield as a DM. So yeah, there's alternatives to this one.
I'm gonna right. So Lockie, if you could have any of them, who's your number 1 pick?
Oh, I like Tim. I also really like Hannibal, but I'm gonna go Alzate.
Alzate from Brighton, yeah.
I think it'd be a big statement. Yeah.
Andrea, who's your pick?
Well, the man that I presented to you, like the golden star, Malik Tillman,
Yeah.
Seriously, he's really good and can be the missing part, the missing player in the number 10 position.
I do like the Malik Tillman, but I am gonna go with Tim Irogbunum. I think that would be my pick. But yeah, listen, another fantastic show with loads of information and loads of players that I hadn't heard of. So really grateful to both of you bringing that to us again. 1 hour and 15 minutes, another great show. No doubt we'll be back, the Late Night Leeds crew, doing some sort of predictions for the Championship season. So watch this space. It's game day tomorrow, last pre-season. So there'll be a final word Monday, and then it'll all be focusing on Cardiff. But exciting times, man! Exciting times. We're a week out. Let's finish with some score predictions for Cardiff. I'm going 3-0 Leeds. Let's go to Andrea.
3-1 Leeds.
Nice. And you, Lockie?
2-0 Leeds.
Nice. Clean sweep. We're coming for you, Bluebirds. I think we'll leave it at that. But again, honestly, amazing. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Make sure you check out Lockie Leeds. down in the description. And also Andrea on Twitter, but you can catch him here most evenings anyway. Thanks, everyone, and we'll see you all again. Peace and love to the gods, man.